Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Amiyah, and hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Amiyah, and for today's video, I'm just going to be doing my October and November book wrap up, and it was such a good reading month this month. I cannot tell you. I'm talking about November. October, it was a decent reading month, but I read 7 books in these and like that. I read 7 books in these past 2 months, and the first book that I read for October, which technically I read this in September, but when I filmed my last book wrap-up thing, I didn't include this, so I'm going to include this now. So I finished this book, I think it's like September 30th, so kind of. But yeah, it is The Way I Used to Be by Amber Smith, and I rate this book a 4 out of 5. The only thing is, some of you know I don't like reading spice, and so I was surprised with how much spice there was. I mean, it wasn't spicy, there was just a couple scenes that caught me off guard, I guess. Here's my friend Savannah right here. You want to say hi?
Hi.
She doesn't want to show her face, which is totally fine. Because a lot of my friends don't like showing their face on YouTube, which is totally fine. You're my favorite, though.
Ow!
But yeah, this book is about a girl. Her name is Eden, and she's kind of like a good girl, good innocent girl. And one night, something happens with her guy best friend that is out of her control. Some assault happens. So check the trigger warnings before you read this book. Yeah. It is a very, very, very heavy book. I would say it talks a lot about like her healing process, going through what she went through after that night. So yeah, just check the trigger warnings in this one. But I rate this book a 4 out of 5. But I would rate this book a 5 out of 5 if I was more prepared and I wasn't caught off guard. But a part of me is a little upset. So yeah, I read this book a 4 out of 5. The next book that I read is The Silent Patient by Alex. I don't want to butcher this, so I'm not going to say his last name. By Alex M. And I rate this book a 4.5 out of 5. It was so good. Like, part of me still thinks about it. It's like, it was so, like, crazy, and I literally never got bored with this book. And so I attempted to do a 24-hour readathon in October, and I didn't really do it. I got like 14 hours in, then I was like, okay. So it is about a girl, her name is Alicia, and she shoots her husband 5 times in the face one night and for no reason, and then she goes silent. So it switches from a different perspective to her psychotherapist called, what's his name again? Theo. And he attempts to maybe make her speak again. So it goes through that process. It goes through his perspective, and sometimes it goes to her diary entries, and it is a twisted book. The only thing is, like I said, I guess the plot twist, and also I thought it was gonna be like more scary, and I was like, oh. The next book that I read, since that book got me into such a thriller mood that I was like, okay, I'm ready to read the next book in the Good Girl's Guide to Murder trilogy, Good Girl, Bad Blood, and I rate this book a 4 out of 5. Yes, it is. I am a person that it's hard for me to give 5 out of 5 stars, and there's going to be multiple 5 stars in this video. I'm just going to say that. But the only thing, like, I have my little nitpick things. This book was so hard to get into. It took me like until like page 200 maybe. Yeah, till like 200 to actually like think about it. And I had to like switch over to the audiobook because I was just, honestly, I was so confused. This book was like making me fall asleep, but as soon as it got good, I was like, oh my gosh. And I cried at the end. That's how good it was. So this book was absolutely insane. So if you guys haven't read Good Girl, oh my gosh, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, you should definitely read that book. That is like one of my favorite books. And what I love about Holly Jackson is I can never guess her plot twists ever in her books. I just can never. So I read Good Girl. I think I read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder in August, and I started Good Girl Bad Blood, but then I got bored and I continued it in October. So yeah, anyways, I rate this book a 4 out of 5. It was good overall. So yeah. So the last book that I read in October was A Thousand Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole, and I rate this book, I want to rate it a 5 out of 5. Well, no, I want to rate it a 4 out of 5. But then a part of me thinking back to it was a good book. I'm just going to say that. So I'm going to rate this like a 3.8 out of 5. This book was good. It made me cry, but I was kind of expecting like a good heartfelt cry that I got from If He Had Been With Me, and I kind of was like ready for it to be over. I was like, okay, can this part just happen already? Just get it over with. And when it happened, I was like sad, but I wasn't like crushed. And I wasn't crushed. I wasn't like, I watched, maybe it was just me and I set my standards too high because I watched like book talk TikToks on this book and people bawling their eyes out and telling and saying like they'll never be the same. And for me, I was like kind of disappointed. I was like, and it did make me cry. I'm just gonna say that. It did make me cry. It did make me sad, but it was kind of like a different kind of pain. It wasn't like the way I felt with If He Had Been With Me. It was more like a fulfilled finished grieving process cry, if that makes sense. So yeah. So I rate this book a 3.8 out of 5. Yeah. So this book it's told in two perspectives. The girl's name is Poppy and the boy's name is Rune. And oh my God. Basically Poppy gets a jar full of 1,000 boy like sticky note kisses, kind of, that her grandma gives her before she unfortunately passes away. And so she's like, so this happens when she's like 8. And so she meets Rune when she's 5, which is her best friend, and then they like fall in love. But then one day when they're both 15, he leaves and she just stops talking to him out of the blue. And then he comes back a totally different person, kind of like this bad boy kind of person. Like, he does things that the old Rune wouldn't do. And Poppy's confused, but she also understands because she's like, I understand why he's like that. I just left him for no reason. So, oh crap. So yeah. I love this book. If I could, I would rate it 6 stars. Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. This book is so good. It is so, it's so good. It is so, it is so good. I don't know how to, like, express myself. I love this book with a passion. I will never, ever, ever stop thinking about this book, talking about this book, talking about the trilogy. It is so good. It is so mind-blowing. I could read this over and over and over again and never get bored. I rate this book a 5 out of 5. This is a 5 out of 5. If I could, I would rate it as 6 stars. Like, no hesitant. Like, I think I read this in like 2 sittings. I read 80 pages and then I just finished it off because it was so good. I could just binge it, and it was so easy to read. It was so easy to read. I recommend this book to literally anyone. Go read this now. Like, I don't care what you're reading. Drop that book and go read this now. And can we just take a minute and like admire her covers? Like, so pretty. So this is about a girl. Her name is Evangeline Fox, and this is a fantasy romance book. And this was actually got me into fantasy. Like, I don't know if you can see my books back there, but I got a whole bunch of fantasy books. Like, as soon as I read this trilogy, I was like, oh my god, I'm in love with fantasy. Like, this book got me into fantasy. I'm just saying. So I don't like going out of my comfort zone and reading books that aren't rom-coms or like thrillers or like sad romances. That's what I usually like to say. And in fantasy, I was like, fantasy is overrated. Like, I just think it's just not my type. And then I saw this book and I was like, okay, I've been looking at this book for the past couple months and I think I should read it. So I picked it up and I started reading it, and oh my word, I literally, there's no words for this book. I love this book. I love it without a doubt. So it's about a girl, and I don't think I can even explain this because it was so jam-packed with stuff. It was so good. So it's about a girl. Her name is Evangeline Fox, and one day she gets her heart broken because the love of her life leaves her to go be with her stepsister and is in love with her stepsister, and they're having a wedding the day up. So she goes to this church to stop a wedding that her stepsister and the love of her life are having that day. So she goes to this church where this is a world of like fates and dragons, and it's so cool. But one of the fates, he's the Prince of Hearts, and so she goes to the Prince of Hearts, and his name and his name is Jax. And Jax, she thought he would understand heartbreak, and she finds out he is just this snobby little jerk. And she makes a deal with him. She's like, if you can stop my wedding, if you can stop the wedding that's about to happen. Or he goes, I'll stop your wedding if you give me 3 kisses. And she's like, but your kisses are fatal. I can't kiss you. And he's like, not me. I get to pick the kisses. So it goes into this twisted games, and it unravels so much. This book is so good. I love this book. Which leads me to the freaking second book. The second book of this trilogy. This book was good. This book was good. This book was good, right? It was amazing. It was beautiful. I wouldn't change a thing in this book. Guess what? The second book's better. The Ballad of Never After by Stephanie Garber. This is the second book in the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. And this book, 6 stars. That hands down 6 stars. This, I'm so sorry if he had been with me, but this is my new favorite book of all time. It is my favorite book of all time. I was reading this. I could not put it down. And I would literally, after I finished the book, I finished it at school. And I literally was like, oh my God. I literally have to get home and I have to read the 3rd book. Like, I cannot tell you how much I adore this book. So, I don't think I can explain this because I don't want to give away anything, but she's still working with Jax, but she's on a different mission now. And it's crazy. It is crazy. This actually has vampires in it, which is so cool. I love this book with a passion. I can't explain much of it because it wouldn't make sense, but literally just go read this right now. Like, I'm not even joking. Oh my gosh, I love this book. If I had to choose, this would be the book that I would pick to read over and over and over again. Hey guys, don't mind me. I look super creepy right now, but I'm editing this right now. And I just realized that I said if I had to pick this one book, I would read it over and over again. About Once Upon a Broken Heart and The Ballad of Never After. And I meant it about both books, but if I had to choose, it would be The Ballad of Never After. I just wanted to clear things up. So yeah. I love this book, and I've never had the second book be better than the first book. Like, oh my gosh. Hands down, this is my favorite book. Oh my god. Which leads me to the third book. So the first book and the third book are tied, and I've heard a lot of hate on this book. Like, oh my gosh, it wasn't what I expected. Da 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 da. I don't care, bro. This book is so good. It's good. I don't know what you're talking about, but I expected it. I had my standards pretty high, and this book met it. So it's a good book. Go read this right now. Go read the whole freaking trilogy, like I said, because I don't know what you're talking about, but this book was so good. And I walked into it thinking, oh, it's not going to be as good as the first two books, da-da-da. What are you talking about? Like, yeah, I mean, I would have more scenes with the two of them, if you know what I'm talking about. But, like, so what? So what? So what, bro? It still kept me on my toes. It is so easy to binge. This book is a 5 out of 5. I love this book. I love the trilogy. Actually, can we just... Oh, and I got the exclusive edition. Look. Do you guys see that? And if you know, you know. So, yeah. Like I said, this just continues their story. I can't really say much about it because you're going to need to read it. But, like, this is my favorite series, trilogy, books of all time. The second book's my favorite, and the first and the third book are tied. I tried to decide which is my least favorite, and I just couldn't, because I can't even think of least favorite with these books. Like, and I'm so glad I have all three of them, because can we just take a moment and admire this? Because this is so freaking pretty. So go read this trilogy right now. You have no choice. Stop any book that you're reading and just go freaking read this, because this got me into fantasy. This got me into buying like 10 books, 10 fantasy books. This got me into loving everything. This got me into loving Jax. He's my favorite. Jax is now my favorite book boyfriend of all time. I don't care. Sorry, Ethan. Sorry, Finn. But that's fine, right? Jax is my favorite. And oh my god, these books are so good. This whole freaking trilogy, 5 out of 5 stars. Go read this right now. I had an amazing reading month. So, yeah. So the last book that I read, wow. So after reading those are like 400-page books. And so I picked up one of Lynn Painter's books. I picked up The Do-Over by Lynn Painter. And do you guys see that? Do you guys see the difference? So when I picked this up, and Stephanie Garber makes giant hardbacks. Like, her books have giant hardbacks compared to like this. Like, don't worry about that. This is backwards. Like, do you guys see that? That's like ginormous. And so I was so used to reading those giant hardbacks. Like, when I got to this one, I was like, what the heck? So yeah, the last book that I read for November was The Do-Over by Lynn Painter, and I rate this book a 4.5 out of 5. It was so cute and so witty, and her books never fail me. If you guys haven't read Better Than the Movies, you definitely should go read that. This isn't the sequel to it, which I thought it was, because it looks like them. But no, this is a totally different story, but it was so good. It, like, her YA books just feel so, like, realistic, but, like, so easy to binge, so easy to read. The only thing is I kind of got bored at, like, a quarter through it, and so I stopped it and picked up another book, and it took me like 2 weeks to finally pick it back up. But then I just binged it all the way through. So yeah, it was really good. So it is about this girl. Her name is Emily, and on Valentine's Day, she's so ready. So she gets up, she does all her stuff, she gets ready, she takes a shower. It's gonna be a great day, right? And she has the worst Valentine's Day of her life. Her boyfriend cheats on her. Her car breaks down. She gets out of her summer. Apparently, the summer program was mistaken, and she gets kicked out of that. It was just a crazy day. It was a horrible day for her. Oh, right. Her parents tell her that they're moving to Texas, and they kind of don't want to bring her along. And she's just having the worst day of her life. But then she wakes up, and it's February 14th again, and on Valentine's Day. And it keeps happening over and over and over again. And I think she keeps crashing. When she crashes her car, she keeps crashing into a guy named Nick. And surprisingly, he is her secluded, like, grumpy lab partner in chemistry. And he's never talked to her before. I think he only said like 2 words to her, maybe. Never talked to her before. And he's like, and yeah. So, yeah. I guess I want to put this book in here. I only have 100 pages of it, but right now I'm reading Heartbones by Colleen Hoover. What are you guys talking about? Like, I've been watching, like, booktube videos and, like, book talk videos of, like, Colleen Hoover, blah, 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 blah. I don't like her. Da-da-da-da-da. She's so overrated. Dude, I started this book, 2 days ago? And I'm almost done with it. This book so far is so good. I have 100 pages left. This is the first Colleen Hoover book I've ever read, and I am really, really enjoying her writing. Like, this is the first time that I've actually really focused on an author's writing and been like, oh, wow. And I really, really, really like her writing. So yeah, that is all the books that I read for October and November. It was such a good reading month this month. So yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for December because then I get to make my, like, yearbook wrap up and talk about my favorite books, my 5-star books, and I get to read Christmas books now. And I'm so excited. So, yeah, I hope you guys are having an amazing day or night. Thank you guys so, so much for watching this video. Again, make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified every single time I post a new video, and give this video a big thumbs up. And make sure, right now, go buy the Once Upon a Broken Heart series because I love that series so much. I'm telling you, it is worth it. It is worth it. It is worth all your money. I promise. I literally spend every dime on this series. So, yeah. And I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.